Welcome to Mortgage Broker Acceleration with James Vagley and Ash Playstead. Being a successful mortgage broker is not just about offering great rates and great service. You need to become the best marketer, leader, and strategist to outthink your competition. If you want to grow your mortgage business and do it smarter, keep listening. If you want to accelerate even faster, visit www.brokerworkshop.com. That's brokerworkshop.com. Now let's accelerate. Here's James and Ash.
So let's talk about extracting referrals from real estate agents. Ash, this would have to be at the top of your list of all time, I would say.
Hands down, James. How you doing, my friend? Yes. Look, it's this topic of real estate agents that either excites or puts the fear of God into mortgage brokers. Me personally, I love working with real estate agents. I've had very productive relationships, and basically it constituted about 80% of, all of the business I ever wrote came from referrals from real estate agents. So yeah, it's my favourite topic.
Good. Well, let's talk about extracting referrals from agents. And the good news, I guess, is it's not what most mortgage brokers, loan officers think. And let's talk a little bit about you writing over 1,000 loans or something with just 3 to 4 real estate agents. Now, we'll get to that later in this episode, but maybe we can start with the secret, 1 or 2 things that from your decades of experience in doing this with thousands of deals over the years, what would you sort of put this down to if you could distill it?
I'll have to kill you if I tell you, James. You know that. It's the secret. Look, it's a secret, but it's not a secret. So for me, yes, I wrote somewhere around 1,000 loans, several $100 million of business, all from a small group of 3 or 4 agents. Occasionally one came or went and I added someone else in. But it's not, as you say, it's not about going out and having 20 or 30 relationships with agents who might give you a loan every now and again. For me, it was about working out how many referrals I needed to hit my goal. I wanted to write 20 plus loans a month, and I worked out how many referrals from real estate agents I needed per week, and then I just built relationships with 3 or 4 agents that I identified. Not the high-performing one in the office, not the low-performing one, but just the ordinary, everyday real estate agent. And as I said, not the high flyer necessarily, not the whole office. I never, ever built relationships with whole offices. There might be some brokers who do that. But for me, 4 agents who I invested a lot of time and effort into, on the basis of each of them would refer me a couple of clients a week. So 4 agents, 2 referrals a week, that's 8 a week. Times 4 weeks, that's 32 a month at a close rate of 80%. There's my 25 loans, month in, month out. Because, James, the bottom line is, brokers are always looking for loans, right? So my attitude is, yes, there's lots of other strategies to generate loans, and you do need some diversity. But my attitude was, go where the fish are, right? So who has got clients who need a loan right now? Real estate agents, because the person's either bought or wants to put an offer on a property. So I just built relationships with agents who I had a connection with and who I treated like gold and who I, as I called it, my drop everything and answer the phone list. So I could be, lying in bed watching a movie at night, and if that agent rings, I'll turn the movie off and I'll take their call. So, I treated them like gold, and I got the gold back from them. So, yes, is that my secret? I guess it is, but I can only reaffirm how important it is to have real estate agents in your network of referrers, because they have the clients who need loans right now. That client's either going to get a loan from you or from somebody else. And then you just go from there.
So let's talk about quality and quantity, because we see a lot of mortgage brokers, as particularly in the US as well with loan officers, it's all about going out and connecting and having 30 or 40 realtors and real estate agents referring to you, or at least on your books knowing of you. Whereas you're sort of talking about just having 3 or 4. So tell me why you would prefer 3 or 4 over 30 or 40.
Well, there's a couple of things, right? So the first thing is just to add one little bullet point here, so to speak, and that is that over 4 years of doing this and writing 1,000 loans, I would have probably referred no more than 3 or 4 buyers back to those agents. So a lot of mortgage brokers think it has to be this two-way referral stuff, right? That might apply in some relationships, but you'll never be able to refer to a real estate agent in the volume that they refer to you. So I just want to dispel that myth. If anyone's holding on to that they need to share potential buyers with a real estate agent to get referrals, that is not true. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I mean, we're all busy, right? Why would I want to be trying to maintain 20 or 30 relationships with real estate agents that might or might not give me a referral once every 2 or 3 months? I mean, my opinion is, James, they're not referral partners. They're just people you have a coffee with occasionally. So for me, yes, you might need to talk to 20 people. You know, you might need to talk to 10. You might need to talk to 30 people. But I always had an aim, and I would highly recommend any mortgage pro do this, is have an aim to talk to as many people as you need to until you find the 3 or 4 or 5 that you connect with that refer to you on the basis that you consider to be a professional partner. And that might be 1 per week, 2 per week, whatever the maths that are required for your particular formula, your particular business. And this applies globally. This is not a US or an Australian or any other particular market. Most real estate agents want a mortgage pro that can make them look good, make their life easier, make getting property sales and purchases to settlement in a much more reliable, stress-free way. And that's the secret. The secret is not sharing money with them. The secret is helping them make more money in less time by taking the finance hassle out of the process.
Exactly. And I think a lot of mortgage professionals go after 10 or 20 or 30 or 40. Oh, I've got 100 real estate agents or realtors or partners referring to me. Maybe because they need that many. It's again, it's quality and quantity. If you probably need to have 50 because they're all only giving you the occasional lead once a week or once a month, or when they think about it. It's that sort of not reverse psychology, but it's, you know what I mean? Like, people think, well, surely more is better. Surely if I have 30 agents referring me over 3, that's going to be better. But you can't physically maintain 30 relationships to the level where you're actually going to get a regular stream of business, versus nurturing 3 or 4 key partners that you know intimately, you connect with them in lots of different ways consistently and strategically, so that you don't just get 1 lead a month or randomly from them. It's every single week, multiple. And I think that's where it's a different mindset to have. So there's probably 2 elements, I think, to this conversation. It's that change in mindset, and it's also about a change in approach from randomness, which is what most people do, coffees, chats, you know, the same old stuff, to a strategic approach. And I think that's what we should dovetail into now, which is, well, if everybody's out there knocking on doors and having coffees and doing the same old, bringing muffins to the office and going for lunches, having a beer, then how do we do it differently and strategically? Because, you know, showing up and buying people coffees doesn't necessarily work.
That's a very good point, James. And look, I mean, real estate agents will eat your muffins, drink your coffee, take your freebies up the yin-yang, right? But that's not why they will give you referrals. That's something that you would bake into an overall relationship, quite right. Real estate agents hate the milk run. I mean, the agents that I used to work with used to tell me they'd see competitor brokers approaching their office and they'd go hide behind the desk and tell the office girl, tell them I'm not here, because they did the milk run. As you said, the milk run is, oh, g'day, it's Bob the broker, you got any deals for me? That doesn't work, right? Yes, marks for being persistent, but it actually doesn't work. Strategic persistence is what works. So, James, we work with our clients this way, and it's how I worked as a broker, no doubt you too, and that is I would strategically work out what is the biggest pain point for a real estate agent. Well, that's number one. Start there. What is the biggest pain point for a real estate agent? Now, you don't need to be a Rhodes Scholar to figure this out, right? Is they are driven by collecting commission checks at settlement. Therefore, the biggest pain point is settlements not happening, which affects their financial circumstance and their reputation. So what's the biggest point? Is the biggest cause of that? It's finance problems. So there lies the strategic focus of a game plan to take to communicating with real estate agents, James. And we obviously go into this in a lot of detail when we work with clients, but from a high level, it's about working out, right, who are the agents I want to speak to? What's their major pain point? How am I going to open the door to get into a conversation with them? And then what am I going to say when I have that conversation that will motivate them to give me a try? Because that's one thing that a lot of brokers, I don't think, do that well, James, and that's actually ask for the business. Like, it's only a relationship if they're giving you business. It's not a relationship if they're not giving you business. It's just somebody who you say hello to occasionally, right? So, as funny as that sounds, I'm sure that, a lot of brokers out there having a chuckle to themselves saying, yeah, well, that sounds like my real estate agents. Well, I would be revisiting those relationships with a positioning around solving the biggest problem they've got and doing it with your own particular style. And I guarantee you, within your immediate network, there will be 3 or 4 agents who are open to that conversation with you right now.
Exactly. I love the milk run analogy because it's so true. I mean, the mortgage brokers aren't even thinking about this. They're knocking on doors and making cold calls and phone calling and things like that. And I don't think many have ever stopped for a moment to go, how many other mortgage professionals, brokers, LOs, how many other phone calls have they already rejected today from someone trying to do business with me? And so you're right, like the milk run. So we've got to show up a little bit differently. And we've talked about this in some other episodes, I'm sure of it, that the way you show up is key. What you say and how you show up is key, because nobody wants to work with someone that's just like everybody else. You have to show up differently, say something different, look different, whatever it happens to be, just something to make you stand out. And from there, you might get the chance to win them over with the right questioning and approach like you talked about. But one thing we should mention is that, and this comes up a lot with people we work with and brokers over the years, is that I think a lot of mortgage professionals end up working with agents they don't like. And we see this all too often where, if you think about the pecking order, Ash, where I think a lot of mortgage brokers think of the agent as, the number one, they're God. And I got to do everything in my power to suck up to them and win them over, throw commission at them, muffins, coffees, leads, whatever it happens to be. And I think it's a really bad positioning to do it that way. And number two, we could talk about that. And number two, what we should also talk about is the fact that just because somebody can give you business and is a real estate agent doesn't necessarily mean you should partner with them, because everybody's personality is different, everybody's business is different, and we have to do business with people we like.
It sure helps, James, and I absolutely couldn't agree more. This is a really important piece of the puzzle, particularly in context with real estate agencies. It's part understanding what they're really looking for and what they're not looking for. It's part understanding the process, the strategic process, the positioning, the communications, the words, the conversations to have to lead it to the outcome that you want. And then it's part repeating that until you find the 3 or 4 agents that you actually have a connection with, that you actually get on with each other. I mean, I'm a perfect example of that, James. I mean, you guys obviously can't see me, but I'm a nerdy introvert. That's how I'll describe myself, a nerdy introvert. So, you know, I don't get on with a lot of real estate agents. They don't get on with me. Who cares? You know, there's plenty that do. The mission here is to find people who are like-minded, who get on with each other. That's the idea here. If you don't, you know, walk away. I also have what I call the 2-week rule, James. I don't know whether you've heard me use that one before. I have the 2-week rule with any new real estate agent that I work with, and that is once we've had, you know, a meeting of the minds and a coffee, a beer, a Zoom call, whatever it happens to be, and I said, right, give me a chance. Let me show you how I can help you, right? So I'll be waiting for your call. If they haven't referred me at least one valid client in the first 2 weeks maximum, that's it. That's not a valid relationship, and I'll move on to the next one. And I think that's one of the things that I would encourage any mortgage pros to, you know, don't collect a bunch of C-grade relationships. Collect a small bunch of A-grade relationships.
It's like friendships. It's like dating. I mean, you know, you just want one partner, or you just want a few great friends. This is a little bit like that. We don't, you know, people these days have like hundreds or thousands of, you know, so-called Facebook friends, but how much value are we getting from the 500 or 1,000 people who we're friends with on Facebook? It's the same with real estate agents. We don't need 500 friends. We need a few really close friends. There's been studies about this, that, you know, people are happiest when they have a close circle of 3, 4, 5, 6 friends. We can transition that exact same concept into business. If you look after, like, and treat them like best friends, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, then you are going to get out what you put in. So I think when we talk about this concept of, you know, extracting more referrals from agents, I think it's, we want to flip it on its head. We want to actually have quality, I should say. We want to have quality instead of quantity. We want to have strategic alignment as opposed to just the hope for the best strategy, you know, the coffees and muffins, and that's the hope for the best type strategy, just making lots and lots of calls. And we want to think of ourselves as mortgage professionals on par with agents. We don't need to suck up to agents. In a way, they should be sucking up to us. You know, this is a friendship. This is not a, you know, king and servant relationship, which a lot of mortgage professionals make the mistake of falling into the servant role, looking up to the agent. It's, you got to come in at the same level of them, with the same level of confidence and value, and build that key partnership like a friendship, and give it the time and energy and value that it needs to actually produce results. And if you follow this method we've been talking about, it's easier. It's a lot easier to have 3, 4, 5 great partners than 30 average ones. And it's more valuable, it's more fun, it's a lot easier, and you don't need to worry about all these fancy strategies and tactics to, you know, so-called extract more leads from partners. You just do what you need to do and the leads will come. So that's, I guess, where I'd say on that.
I'd love to tell a short story here if we've got a moment, James, which I think people might find interesting, just to prove the point about this works. As a takeaway, this works. It always has worked, works now, always will work, because relationships are everything, not your level of expertise. And to prove it, I used to do this back in the day, right? I won't say how far back in the day, but it's, you know, almost in the previous century. That if somebody wanted to come and join me as a broker, you know, I had a process to locate people to come and work in my business as a broker. That, you know, they had a desire and I had an opening, so they would come and work. But before they even started, what I would often do is to say, right, for the next 2 days, I want you to go around and introduce yourself to real estate agents and see if any of them are prepared to refer you clients. And they'd be like, well, I don't know anything about broking. And I would give them a process to follow that was devoid of relying on expertise. It was full of relying on relationships and a couple of other ingredients that were baked into that mix. But essentially, they would go out, knock on the doors or visit real estate agents, ring them, follow the process I'd give them. And I would say with probably 80 to 90% of the time, 2 days later, they would be, or even before, they would be, holy crap, I've got 3 referrals and I've got no idea what to do. So the point here I want to be clear about is you can win referrals from real estate agents irrespective of your level of experience, irrespective of your level of knowledge of lending. Yes, when it comes to dealing with the clients and getting a loan process, you're going to need help, right? Either yourself or your team around you. But in the agent's eyes, you know, they will refer to you because of your relationship skills, not because of your knowledge.
All day.
So I just thought that was a good story to share, because anybody listening to this that's a new broker and is thinking, oh, you know, I can't really visit real estate agents because I don't really know enough about broking just yet. This ties into what you just said, James, about fucking up to agents and feeling as though you've got to earn their support. Trust me, I can only say over 36 years of doing this, that is a false limiting belief.
Yeah, so another awesome podcast there with some great tips. Yeah, look, once again, they say you only need 3 to 4 quality referral partners. That is so true. For me, I didn't have a lot of success with real estate agents, and that's probably because I never connected with a lot of them personally, where my family lawyer, she was into V8 supercars, so was I. We loved talking to each other on the phone. We loved dealing with each other. We got on well. My financial planner, we used to sit in the corporate box at the footy, at the Ipswich Jets Broncos games. You know, my accountant, we just got on well. In fact, I just met up with my accountant for lunch, and we talked. We didn't talk business at all. We were just talking all sorts of other things. So even though he doesn't refer me business now, because I told him I don't want business, but I only needed that. A mate of mine who did the 30-day action plan back when I did it, he had a real estate agency, a small real estate agency with a couple of agents and 2 financial planners, and you know, he was one of the top 100 brokers in Australia. You know, you don't need 30 odd referral partners, but you gotta find those 3 or 4. So that means that you might have to meet with a lot of different real estate agents. You might have to call a lot of different people. You might find that you get those referrers who send you maybe a referral once every 6 months. And as Ash said, they're not referrers. They're just someone that you know, someone that you have coffee with. And that's so true. So I don't call them referrers. And you do need to move on. So you might have to work your way through, like gold mining. You know, you got to dig up a lot of ground and go through a lot of tonnage, you know, to get 2 grams of gold, which actually isn't bad grading depending how the depth of that. But yeah, so you've got to do that work to find those 3 or 4. But when you find those 3 or 4, then you just want to build those relationships, build them. And usually the most successful relationships are based on a personal connection, i.e. you get on well with them. I've been saying this for a long time. You guys have probably heard me talk about it over and over and over and over again, that it's that personal connection which will determine the success of that referral relationship. So, and this is why I always tell brokers, when you're building referral partners, when you're having those initial meetings, what you want to do is get to know them as a person, get to know their business, get to understand them, show them that you're interested, and as they are talking, they may say some things where you go, oh yeah, I'm into that too, or whatever. You find those connections. So and it was interesting that they said they don't. Ash didn't target the top agents and didn't target the bottom agents. He just found that middle range, and I just thought that was interesting. And then build those relationships. And how do you build those relationships? I remember one of Australia's top agents. I can't remember if it was a plan conference. I think it was a plan conference, and yeah, actually, I can't remember. He came and spoke, and he actually shared what an agent wants for a broker. Like, he's had numerous brokers. I think he was up near Newcastle, so it must have been in Sydney for something. Anyway, he said basically what he's looking for in a broker to refer to is someone who he can pick up the phone and know that they're going to answer the phone. That communication. If he's going to go see a client at night, he wants to pick up the phone and just run some basic figures past the broker and say, look, am I wasting my time going to see this client? Are they even going to be able to service, get a loan to buy this property? So being open to answer your phones at night, going out to open homes and auctions. Now, I know there's going to be pushback straight away with that. I've done that before, Steve, and I don't get it. Nothing. You don't get anything by giving up your weekend to go out to open homes or auctions with the agent. But what you're doing is you're showing commitment to them, that you're committed to them, that you want to help them, that you're prepared to give up your time to help them. So guess what? They want to give back to you during the week. So you're building the relationship so that you get the referrals during the week. You don't get the referrals on the weekend. You get them during the week. Open homes, you can have your little brochures and flyers, and you can have a list to try to get people's names, etc., etc. Waste of time. It's all about building the relationship with the agent. And then the referrals come during the week. I liked how Ash said, he asked for the referral. He said, give me a chance to show you what I can do. And if he didn't get a genuine referral in the first 2 weeks, he just moved on. And it's interesting, persistence. We talk about persistence all the time. Peter Gom, Australia's top broker for a decade, talks about persistence, but you got to be persistent in things that actually work. Like, if someone's just not going to refer to you, and I've had this before, just don't waste your time. If it's never going to happen, there's no point being persistent in that. But being persistent in your business, doing the daily activity, over time, it will happen if you do the daily activity. So I thought there were some really good things in that podcast, especially for brokers, those of you that want to build relationships with with real estate agents. As I said, I'll be honest, I've met with hundreds of real estate agents over the years. I really only had a couple of decent ones, one in Toowoomba when I had an office in Toowoomba, and another one in Ipswich when I had an office in Ipswich. Other than that, I never had any good relationships with agents in and around Brisbane, and that was probably more, we just never connected personally. A lot of them were over the top, kind of salesy guys, and I just can't stand that. That's not how I do business. I just never got on well with them. So that's probably why. But for me, I had 3 key referral partners. I had the family lawyer, had the financial planner, and an accountant, and 3 referral partners. That was it. And I had great relationships with them. So anyway, guys, hope you guys got something out of this podcast, and I'll see you on the next video.